friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be giving you the backstory to my health issues and things that's going on in my life. I decided to split this backstory up into two parts because it covers a span of 5 years, and at some point I'm probably going to start rambling and telling you how I felt at that time, and I just don't want the video to be super long. So I split the first, this is part one, and I split it up from the years 2012 to 2015, and I'll try to be as detailed as possible, but also keep the video short, because I know when I watch YouTube videos, I don't want to watch a 15-minute YouTube video. So I'm assuming you feel the same way, and that's why I'm not going to make this video super duper long. But so here we go. Ready? Alright, so it all started right around the time that I got married, and I don't think me getting married had anything to do with it. That's just like a time reference for me. But I got married in 2012, and I was 22, and up until that point, I mean, I was fine. I had a, how old was Chris? I think my oldest, he was 3 at the time. So before I got married, I was single parent. My husband is not my first child's father. And so, but I mean, like, I was juggling that. I was going to school full time. I was working kind of full time, I guess, as much as I could work. And when I got married, I had been teaching, like, that was my first year teaching, going into my second year. And so, I mean, I was dealing with, juggling the two and trying to, live my best life. But around that time that I got married, I don't know, I just became, like, really, really tired. I had headaches every day. And so I finally ended up going to the neurologist, like, early 2013, because I got married in November of 2012. And so early 2013, I decided to go to the neurologist. My husband went with me, and I was just telling the neurologist all of this stuff. Because prior to that, I had been going to my regular doctor, and she tried everything she could to kind of figure out what was going on. I mean, she ran blood work after blood work, test after test, and she finally just told me, she said, this is out of my league. She said, so I'm just going to refer you to a specialist that can probably give you some better answers than I can. And so, I was appreciative of that, because she did try to figure out what was going on. And so early 2013 is when I finally went to the neurologist, and, of course, she's taking notes, taking in what I'm saying, my symptoms, all that stuff. Well, that was just kind of it for that first appointment. Well, I ended up having a follow-up appointment, and she wanted to do a sleep study on me, because part of the problem was I wasn't getting enough sleep, and she was like, well, maybe that's what's causing your headaches and your fatigue and all this stuff. So she ended up doing a sleep study. She said that I had restless legs, and that was part of the issue, but also she diagnosed me with chronic fatigue syndrome, which just means that I was just, like, crazy tired. So, like, on your worst day, when you're just regular tired, like, imagine that amplified 10 times. So, if you hear my kids in the background, please excuse them. But anyway, my youngest loves to sing. So, anywho, so after being diagnosed with that, things kind of got bad at home. I was going to bed at like 5 o'clock, like, because going to work and teaching all day. I was teaching 6th grade, and going to work, teaching all day, and when I came home, like, I couldn't function. I couldn't do anything, and I was going to bed at like 5 o'clock. And so that kind of left my husband taking care of my youngest all by himself. Like, I wasn't cooking. I don't even know if I was cleaning up at the time. And so I felt bad, because I was just like, I just got married. Like, my husband's going to leave me, because I know he didn't sign up for this, because he's 12 years, almost 12 years my senior. And so he probably was thinking, he married a little young thing, and, life's going to be great and all this stuff. And here I am in the bed at 5 o'clock, and I cannot function. And so I kind of felt like a failure. Like, what's gonna happen, like, because I couldn't control it. And when anything is out of your control, you just feel kind of helpless and hopeless. So that's kind of where I was during that time. Later on that year, I ended up I think I was just, like, in the shower just washing, And I ended up feeling like this sore, like this lump in my breast. I was like, oh no. So I called it out and I was like, I got this lump in my breast. It hurts. Like, I need to come get checked out ASAP. So when I went, and she was kind of feeling around and stuff, she noticed I had a rash. And she was like, how long have you had this rash? And I was like, about the same time that, I felt this lump and it's hurting and it's like pain radiating or whatever. And she was like, that looks like shingles. And I was like, I thought that was for like old people. No shade, but I thought, older people like 50s, 60s caught shingles. But she was like, no, that's shingles. So I was like, okay. So they gave me the medicine. It's just, it's kind of like chicken pox, herpes, like all of it. You take the same type of medicine to cure the rash. But she said it would cure the rash, but it wouldn't cure like the nerve pain and stuff. So I took that. The rash healed up. I think a couple weeks later, I ended up visiting the neurologist again and told her about the shingles. And so she put me on Neurontin, which is kind of, it may be an anti-seizure medication, but I do know that it helps with nerve pain. So, because even after the rash was gone with the shingles, I still was having nerve pain like all on my right side. And so I took Neurontin for about 2 years, actually. And I got to a point where I felt like it wasn't working. Because maybe my body had gotten used to like that dosage. And so then the neurologist told me, we'll take 1 pill in the morning and 1 pill at night. That did not work because it was too much and it was like putting me to sleep. And so I was just like, can't do that either. So after the 2-year mark, I kind of just stopped taking it and was just kind of like dealing with it. But going back to, so that was like 2013. Okay. So got diagnosed with chronic fatigue, didn't know what was going on, was on some medication, Okay, 2014 in February, I think, I found out I was pregnant. And so, of course, I stopped taking all medications. I stopped seeing the neurologist because I was like, at this point, no matter what she says, it's going to end up being some medication that I have to take, and I'm not taking any medication because I'm pregnant. So I kind of just, dealt with the issues, and they did get worse while I was pregnant. Like the fatigue and the pain, and I had sciatica, and I don't know, I was just going through. But anyway, so October 2014 is when I had my son, and I had to have a C-section, which I had with my first child as well. And so I noticed that after my second C-section, I did not bounce back like I did with my first C-section. Like my first C-section, the day I came home, like I was asleep, rolling around in the bed, like I was fine. The second C-section, I could not sleep in my bed for like 3 weeks because I couldn't lay down and get back up like that. And so I slept on the recliner for those 3 weeks, and kind of had him in the cradle beside me so that I could tend to him. And so it was just, I don't know, it was difficult. I had a hard time like getting around, and I was like hunched over for a lot longer than I was with my first child. So I just noticed that my body didn't bounce back how it was, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to have any more. So fast forward a little bit. So after I got off maternity leave from my job, I was still teaching 6th grade. When I went back, it was just overwhelming because while I was out, my kids were out of control due to my sub. I tried not to play the blame game, but it was her fault. Like, she did not have any structure how I thought she would, because she was a retired teacher. So I was like, okay. Me and my principal talked about it. I was like, this is the best person for the job. She's gonna, come in and keep things moving. Half of the lesson plans that I left did not get done. My kids were out of control. It was like I had to start back over, like all over again. And it was just too much to deal with what I was going through physically, having a newborn at home, and then coming to school and like all the craziness. So I was like, you know what? I can't do it anymore. I resigned in February, but anybody in the education field knows that you have to work your 30 days. And so my last day was in March of 2015. So I was in grad school at the time, and so I took advantage of that time to get some grad work done, catch up on my stuff, upload some artifacts and all that stuff. But then I was like, okay, I need some money. So I went back to Outback. I worked at Outback for about 5 years while I was in college, and then immediately after college. And so I went back to the one, to a different one though. I kind of got transferred over or whatever. And the first month was okay, but I noticed that it wasn't how it was my first go round when I was in college. It took a toll on my body. I had a lot of pain. I was struggling carrying the trays and stuff, which I never had a problem with before. And so I was just like, okay, this is not going to work either. So I started there in, I think, maybe April. By May, when I went back to the neurologist, she diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. And at that point, I just kind of felt hopeless. I was just like, there's no cure for this. You don't even know why I have it. You don't know what caused it. It was just so many unknowns that I think I was in denial for a long time. So I was like, fibromyalgia is nothing. That just means that you don't know what the heck is going on with me. And you're not trying to figure it out anymore, because once she diagnosed me with fibromyalgia in May, it's like she stopped running tests. She wasn't trying to dig any further. It was just like, that's what you got. Let me give you some more pills and send you on your way. And so I kind of stopped seeing her for a couple years, because I was just like, she's not doing anything but throwing more pills my way. And they just weren't working, because she actually had me on some sleeping pills to help, and they were helping. But in August of 2015, I ended up going back to the classroom, but I went to another school, another grade level. I started teaching 5th grade. And so that was a little bit better. And I was like, okay, I can catch my breath a little bit. And at that time, I was still taking Neurontin for the nerve pain, and it helped me sleep. But she also put me on sleeping pills. The neurologist did. And I was taking them, but it's like I had to take them by a certain time. If I didn't take them by a certain time, I would not wake up the next day on time for work. And so one particular night in like November, I had taken my sleeping pills at whatever time I was taking them, and my oldest got up and he said that he had a headache. And so I was like, okay, well, let me get up and give you some Tylenol, whatever. I went to the kitchen, and I was dizzy, but I just felt it's because I'm kind of groggy. I just woke up out of my sleep or whatever, because I was having a lot of dizzy spells. That was the other thing. I was having headaches and dizzy spells. And she said that I had vertigo, and I'm like, but what you gonna do about it? Anyway, so that was a biggie. And so like sometimes I was scared to drive, and you know, if I sit down and get up real fast, I feel like I pass out. I had a couple of blackouts, but it's like I could control it. I felt that I was gonna black out, and so I could just kind of like sit down or whatever. But anyway, going back to the night that my child woke up, and so we went to the kitchen. I poured him some Tylenol, gave it to him, and I remember saying, let me pray for you. And I put my hand on his head and closed my eyes, and all I remember is saying, dear Lord. And the next thing I know, I woke up on the floor. My son said that I obviously lost consciousness, because like I said, it wasn't a typical blackout that I've had before. It was like straight knocked out. My son said that I fell back, hit my head on the stove, hit my head in the refrigerator, and then fell down on the floor. And when I woke up, like, my face was bruised, my lip was busted, like, it was crazy. My husband, like, it woke my husband up, like, all the commotion. He comes running out the room, like, oh my God, what's going on? And so it was just crazy. I went to the ER just to kind of make sure that I didn't have a concussion, or I didn't, you know, my brain wasn't swelling, because I hit my head really hard. And so they checked me out and said that I should be fine. But after that point, I stopped taking the sleeping pills, because I was like, that's what did it, because they had me so out of it that I couldn't even function like in between time if I had to. And so I just decided at that point to like stop seeing her, stop taking the sleeping pills. I was still taking the Neurontin because I felt like I needed them, even though they were kind of, like I said, this is like the 2-year mark at this point. They were kind of not as effective as they were in the beginning, but I still feel like, and maybe it could have been psychological, I felt like if I didn't take them, I would not get a good night's rest, like, period. So But around this time, I just kind of like stopped everything. I was like, this crap ain't working. Like, I'm not getting any better. And then if it was or is fibromyalgia, like, none of this is going to work long term anyway. So I might as well just stop taking it. So that's kind of where I ended up in at the end of 2015. And unfortunately, this video has been 15 minutes, and I'm so sorry. But check out backstory number 2 coming up, and that will take us from 2015 to current day diagnosis and everything that's going on. Again, I apologize for making this video 15 minutes long, but it is the backstory, and there's a lot of stuff that has happened that I literally had to sit and write down to remember, because it's all a blur, because so much stuff has happened. And even like I was talking to my husband one time a couple weeks ago when I had got my current diagnosis or whatever, and he was just like, you know, he said it's not even a surprise at this point anymore. He said because so much stuff has happened that I'm just listening. And I can't get mad at him, because a lot has gone on in these past 5.5 years that I don't even think my family realizes everything that we've kind of been through and that I've been through. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to shoot me a message or a comment on the video. And again, stay tuned for part 2.